first started asking the big questions about life, about success, happiness, purpose, Mr. Shoaff taught me about something that changed the entire course of my journey, this idea of personal philosophy. Here's what I learned. Your personal philosophy is the collection of ideas, beliefs, and values you hold about the world and your place in it. It's the filter through which every decision flows. You see everything that happens in your life, every result you get, every opportunity you seize or miss, all of it, trace it back. And you'll find it starts in the mind. It starts with the way you think about yourself, your possibilities, your limitations, and your future. It doesn't start with what you do. It starts with what you think. Some people spend years searching for better methods. They look for better strategies, better jobs, better relationships, better investments. They work harder and harder, but without changing the way they think, their results don't change much. Why? Because actions are always a reflection of philosophy. Show me someone's habits, and I'll show you their philosophy at work. If you want to change your life, you've got to go upstream. You've got to start with the mind. Personal philosophy isn't just another fancy word for attitude. No, it's much deeper than that. It's the framework that guides every choice, every reaction, every plan. It's the foundation upon which all achievement or all disappointment is built. Think about the last time you faced a big decision. Did you pause and ask, why do I think the way I do about this? What assumptions am I operating under? Most people don't. Most people let life happen to them. They move through the world on autopilot, not realizing that they're guided by a philosophy they never consciously chose. But here's the truth. You're not a robot, and your thinking isn't fixed. Every result in your life today, your health, your wealth, your relationships, your happiness, every one of them traces back to the set of beliefs you've accepted about what's possible for you. If those results aren't what you want, it's time to look at the blueprint you're following. If you want to build a different kind of life, you need a different kind of thinking. I remember years ago, I was struggling, wondering why things weren't working out. I thought it was the economy or my boss or bad luck. But one day it hit me. If I wanted my circumstances to change, I had to start by changing me. Not just my actions, but my thinking. That's when I got serious about my personal philosophy. If you want to change the visible, you've got to change the invisible. It's not enough to want a better life. You've got to build it from the ground up, starting with the way you see the world. Personal philosophy is the seed from which every harvest grows. And just like any seed, if you plant the wrong one, you can't expect the right crop. So ask yourself, what is your philosophy about life? About work, money, relationships, health? Have you ever written it down? Have you ever examined it closely? Or is it just something you picked up along the way without much thought? Here's the good news. If you don't like your results, you're not stuck. You're not a tree. You can change the way you think, and by changing your thinking, you can change everything else. The first step is awareness. The next step is design, and we'll keep building from here. So where does philosophy actually come from? It doesn't just drop out of the sky one day, fully formed. No, your personal philosophy is shaped, molded, pressed into you, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully, by everything and everyone around you. From the time you were small, people started handing you pieces of their philosophy. Parents, teachers, friends, television, the books you read or didn't read, the environment you grew up in. Every one of those influences dropped something into the mix. Some ideas are like seeds planted in good soil. and they grow into strong, healthy beliefs. Others are like weeds. They look harmless at first, but over time they choke out anything good you try to plant. Think back for a moment. How many of your beliefs did you actually choose? How many did you inherit, absorb, or accept without question? When you were a child, you probably believed just about everything the grown-ups said. If they said money doesn't grow on trees, you believed it. If they said you'll never amount to much, or you can be anything you want, you believe that too. See, children are wide open to influence, for better or for worse. The challenge is most people never revisit those early messages. They let childhood programming run the show for decades. And unless you shine a light on it, unless you become aware of what's running in the background, you'll live by philosophies you never actually chose. People ask, why do I struggle to break old habits? Why do I keep sabotaging my success? So often it's because they're trying to act their way out of a philosophy they never examined. They're fighting against deeply rooted beliefs, beliefs they may not even be conscious of. Now, think about the impact of your environment. The people you spend time with have an enormous influence. The conversations you hear, the stories you're told, the attitudes you're exposed to, all of it goes to work, shaping your philosophy, brick by brick. If you grew up around people who always found a way, chances are you learned to look for solutions. If you grew up around people who complained, made excuses, pointed fingers, you probably picked up some of that too. Here's what I've learned. Most people inherit their philosophy by default, not by design. It's like waking up one day and realizing you're living in a house you never planned, furnished with beliefs you never picked out. That's why the first step toward lasting change is awareness. You have to stop and ask, where did I get this idea? Is it serving me? Does it help me become the person I want to be, or is it holding me back? Don't let your philosophy be an accident. Don't let the world hand you a blueprint and expect you to be satisfied. You have the right, the responsibility to choose what you believe, but you can't change what you're not aware of. That's why we shine a light on our own thinking. That's why we ask the tough questions. If you want to build a house of success, you have to choose every brick. And here's another truth. Your philosophy can change at any moment you decide it's time. Just because you were handed a certain set of beliefs growing up doesn't mean you have to keep them. The past is a place of reference, not residence. Use it to learn, but don't let it keep you where you don't want to be. Today, I challenge you to take inventory of your beliefs. Find out which ones were chosen by you and which ones you simply accepted. Awareness is the first step to real change. You can't fix what you won't face. If you leave here today with one thing, let it be this. Your philosophy, chosen or not, shapes everything about your attitude. You see, there's a little relationship between philosophy and attitude. You know, some folks think attitude is just something you wake up with, like the weather. They say, I hope I'm in a good mood today, as if optimism were a matter of chance or luck. But here's the reality. Attitude isn't random. It's not handed out at birth or distributed at breakfast. Attitude is constructed brick by brick on the foundation of your personal philosophy. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people faced with the same setback, a lost job, a missed opportunity, a sudden challenge. One person reacts with frustration, resentment, maybe even despair. The other, they respond with curiosity, determination, and even a bit of excitement. What makes the difference? It isn't the event itself. It's what each person believes about the event. It's their philosophy at work. If your philosophy tells you that failure is final, then every obstacle becomes a stopping point. But if your philosophy says failure is just feedback, an invitation to learn, to adjust, to grow, then every obstacle is a stepping stone. C, a poor philosophy breeds cynicism. It whispers, things never work out for me. Why try? A sound philosophy, on the other hand, breeds confidence. It says, if it's to be, it's up to me. What can I do differently? How can I turn this around? I remember meeting a young man years ago, sharp kid, had plenty of ambition, but always seemed weighed down by doubt. He'd tell himself, people like me don't get ahead. Where did that come from? Not from reality, but from a philosophy he picked up along the way. I told him, if you change the way you think about yourself, you'll change the way you act, and that'll change your outcomes. Little by little, he began to see it. He started questioning his old beliefs and replacing them with new ones. His attitude shifted, and so did his results. Attitude is the visible part of your philosophy. It's the look on your face, the sound of your voice, the spring in your step. It shows up in how you treat others, how you respond to stress, how you handle disappointment. But all of that starts with what you believe. You can't plant weeds and expect roses, and you can't harbor a philosophy of limitation and expect a harvest of enthusiasm. So ask yourself, what have you been telling yourself lately? What's your attitude toward the future, toward change, toward the effort it takes to reach your goals? If you catch yourself drifting into cynicism, pause and look beneath the surface. There's a philosophy down there quietly running the show. Bring it into the light. Challenge it. Replace it if you need to. Let's be honest. Life gives us all a mixture. Some easy days, some hard ones. But it's not the day that determines your attitude. It's your philosophy about the day. That's why you'll find people in tough circumstances with a spirit that's unbreakable, and others in easy circumstances who seem forever discouraged. If you want to construct a life filled with confidence, hope, and progress, it starts with constructing a sound philosophy. It starts with the ideas you allow to take root in your mind, the beliefs you choose to water, and the stories you decide to repeat. Mindset isn't magic. It's not luck. It's built carefully, intentionally, every single day. One day, this process, these ideas, these beliefs, they'll turn into real results. I'm telling you, it's like a chain reaction that begins with a single idea. Every result in your life, good or bad, big or small, started as a thought, a notion, a little seed planted in your mind. It's easy to focus on results and forget the long trail that leads up to them. But if you trace any result back, you'll find a chain. It begins with ideas, moves to beliefs, then to actions, and finally to results. It works like this. An idea takes root. Maybe you read it in a book, heard it from a friend, or caught it from a passing conversation. That idea, repeated and nurtured, becomes a belief. And once you believe something, really believe it, you begin to act on it. Actions, taken over time, carve out your habits and shape your character. And your habits, in turn, determine the results you see day after day, year after year. Take a moment and think about the areas of your life where you're satisfied. Maybe you've got a strong relationship, a healthy body, a steady business. Now ask yourself, what ideas have I believed about these areas? Somewhere along the line, you picked up the right thoughts, built the right beliefs, and those beliefs led to the right actions. Now, flip it over. Where are the frustrations? Where are you stuck? Don't just blame circumstances or luck. Trace it back. What ideas have you accepted, maybe without realizing it? Maybe you bought into the notion that you're just not the type for success. Maybe you settled for less because somewhere, somehow, you believed that's all you deserved. I remember sitting with a man who had struggled for years to break a cycle. Same problems, year after year. He changed jobs, changed cities, changed everything except the most important thing, the way he thought. I asked him, but what are the ideas you're holding on to that are creating these results? That was the turning point, not more effort, but a new philosophy. Here's the good news. If you don't like the results, you don't have to fight at the level of results. You can change the results by changing your actions. You can change your actions by changing your beliefs. But to change your beliefs, you must go back even further, to the ideas that fuel them. If you want to change the harvest, you've got to change the seed. And if you want to change the seed, you've got to pay close attention to the ideas you allow into your mind. Some folks spend years trying to fix what's on the surface without ever addressing what's underneath. They tinker with routines, chase after shortcuts, but nothing sticks. Why? Because they haven't changed the root ideas that drive the whole chain. So the process is simple, but it's not always easy. It takes awareness. It takes honesty. You've got to be willing to pause, rewind the tape, and ask, where did this belief come from? What idea started this whole chain? Sometimes all it takes is one new idea, one shift in perspective to turn the entire direction of your life. Remember, results are just the tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath is where all the power is. If you want new outcomes, you've got to work your way backward. Change the input, and the output takes care of itself. Hey, let's talk now about how you can start building a better set of ideas. Because what you feed your mind today, you'll see in your life tomorrow. If you want to improve your personal philosophy, you've got to feed your mind the right material. Think about it. Every idea, every belief you have today came from somewhere. So if you want to build a better philosophy, you have to start by building a better set of ideas. And the raw material for those ideas is what you read, what you listen to, who you spend time with, and what you allow to influence your thinking. People sometimes ask, Jim, what's the secret to changing my life? There's no secret, really. It's just that most folks don't do the simple things that make the biggest difference. I started out with average ideas, and that's exactly the kind of life I got. Average. It wasn't until I started pouring in new information, fresh perspectives, that things began to change for me. You see, reading can change your destiny. It changed mine. When I picked up my first book on personal development, it was like a window opened. I realized there were people who had mapped out the territory ahead. People who could teach me how to think, how to act, how to achieve. Books are the mentors you may never meet in person. They're available anytime you're ready to listen. Listening is just as important. The right words at the right time can shift your whole direction. That's why I went to as many seminars as I could, listened to tapes in the car, filled my mind with new voices. Not every idea was for me, but all of it helped me sort out what I believed and what I wanted to believe. Even one phrase, one story, can be the spark that lights the fire of change. And don't forget about mentorship. Find someone whose life or results inspire you and learn from them. Ask questions, watch how they work, study their habits. You don't have to copy everything. They're not you, and you're not them. But if you pay attention, you'll see what kind of thinking drives their actions. Sometimes, just being around someone with a higher standard rubs off. They see possibilities where others see problems. They challenge your excuses. They show you what's possible. All this new input, books, audio, mentors, works like fresh water for your mind. If you've been running on stale ideas, it's time to clear out the old and pour in the new. And here's the real key. Input determines outlook. You can't expect to stay inspired, to stay sharp, if you're not constantly feeding your mind with new ideas. If you want to change your philosophy, you've got to take charge of your influences. I tell people, don't just read the easy stuff. You won't grow that way. Stretch a little. Read what challenges you. Listen to things that make you think. Seek out people who know more than you do. The more you learn, the more you'll earn, in every sense of the word. If you want a better harvest next season, start planting better seeds today. The mind is a garden. You can cultivate it, or you can let it go wild. It's up to you. And I'm telling you, life doesn't give you a good harvest if you're not careful about what gets planted, when you don't guard the gates of your mind. If you've decided to build a stronger philosophy, the next lesson is to guard your mind as carefully as you would guard your most valuable investment. Think of it this way. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open and let just anyone or anything wander into your home. Yet, so many people leave the door to their mind wide open, letting all kinds of influences come and go without a second thought. Negativity, for example, is one of the easiest things to pick up and one of the hardest things to shake. It's everywhere. Turn on the news, and you'll find a steady stream of doom and gloom. Sit around the break room long enough, and you'll hear plenty of complaints. Even a simple conversation with a friend can turn into a dumping ground for every problem under the sun. If you're not careful, that stuff gets in. It starts small, a bit of doubt, a touch of cynicism. But if you let it grow, pretty soon it crowds out the optimism and possibility you've worked so hard to plant. And it's not just negativity. Excuses are contagious too. One person says, "I can't." And suddenly, it seems like a reasonable thing for everyone else to say. People get caught up in the tide of "not my fault," "not my problem," or "nothing I can do." But remember, your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant and whatever you allow to be planted is going to grow. If you let excuses and negativity in, they'll take root and spread. Media, too, has a powerful influence. Most of what's broadcast isn't designed to build you up. It's designed to get your attention. Drama sells, fear gets ratings, and controversy keeps you coming back for more. But just because something is loud, urgent, or popular doesn't mean it's good for your philosophy. You have to learn to filter what enters your mind. If something doesn't serve you, turn it off, tune it out, or walk away. Guarding your mind means developing a kind of mental filter. Ask yourself, is this idea helpful? Is this story inspiring? Is this conversation making me better, or is it holding me back? You don't have to cut out all fun, but you do have to become more selective. Not every seed deserves a place in your garden. I learned years ago, if you want to keep your philosophy strong, you have to be intentional. Spend time with people who lift you higher, who challenge you to grow, who believe in solutions, not just problems. Limit the time you spend on things that drain your energy or distort your perspective. Protect your mind the way you would protect your fortune, because in a very real sense, your mind is your fortune. Every dollar, every friendship, every opportunity flows from the quality of your thinking. If you let your mind get contaminated by negativity, excuses, or low standards, it won't be long before your results reflect that contamination. So, make a promise to yourself. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Be quick to reject what doesn't serve you. Be diligent about what you let in. The quality of your philosophy and the quality of your life depends on it. So what happens when you start turning all these ideas into practice? Because that's where the magic happens. It's one thing to fill your mind with good ideas, to read the right books, to choose the right beliefs. But the real test is what you do with those ideas day in and day out. This is where philosophy meets practice. This is where principles turn into disciplines. Now, discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment. It's the difference between wishing and doing, between hoping and having. The smallest discipline, practiced every day, can change your entire destiny. You see, anybody can think about success, anybody can talk about goals, but it's those who put their philosophy into action consistently who see the real results. Years ago, I learned that integrity is the product of consistency between what you believe and how you behave. If your philosophy says health matters, then your daily habits ought to reflect that. What you eat, how you move, how you rest. If your philosophy says relationships are valuable, then your actions ought to show it. How you listen, how you give, how you invest time. It's easy to make declarations when you're excited, after a good seminar or an inspiring book. But life isn't changed in a moment of inspiration. It's changed in the hundreds of little choices you make after the inspiration has worn off. The discipline to do what you know you should, even when you don't feel like it. That's where transformation happens. I remember talking with a man who wanted to turn his business around. He had all the right ideas. He could quote every book, recite every strategy, but his results didn't match his knowledge. Why? He hadn't made the ideas part of his routine. He hadn't built the disciplines. I told him, don't let your philosophy stay in your head. Bring it into your hands. Let it show up in your habits. When he finally did, things started to change. Confidence grows every time you keep a promise to yourself. Every time your actions align with your philosophy, your self-respect goes up. Your sense of possibility expands. And when you slip, as everyone does from time to time, don't abandon the discipline. Just get back to it. The key is not perfection, but persistence. Results follow consistency. If you sow a little, you reap a little. Sow a lot, you reap a lot. But what you sow isn't just effort, it's philosophy in action. If you want better health, you practice the disciplines of health. If you want wealth, you practice the disciplines of wealth. If you want richer relationships, you practice the disciplines of connection and caring. The magic isn't in the philosophy alone. It's in turning those principles into practice. When your thinking and your actions are aligned, you start to live with integrity. And that's where lasting confidence comes from. Not from what you know, but from what you do over and over until it becomes part of who you are. So, make the commitment to turn principle into practice. Take your best ideas and make them habits. Build a daily routine that reflects your highest philosophy. That's how you build a life you can be proud of. And that's how you rewrite your future. One thought, one decision, one discipline at a time. That's it. The most exciting part about this whole journey is the realization that you can rewrite your future, starting right now, today, with nothing more than a decision to upgrade your personal philosophy. You see, every new level of life demands a new level of thinking. The philosophy that got you through your last season might not be enough for the next one. That's the nature of growth. Success isn't something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And becoming that person starts with changing the way you think. Some people wait for circumstances to force them to change. They wait for a crisis, a wake-up call, some external push. But why wait for trouble to be the teacher? Why not become the designer of your own life? Why not be proactive, deliberate, thoughtful about the kind of philosophy you build and live by? If you want your life to change, you don't have to beg or hope or wish. You simply begin by consciously choosing the ideas you allow into your mind. You question old beliefs. You seek out new knowledge. You filter out what doesn't serve you, and you make your philosophy a daily project. And then you act on it, one small discipline at a time. I can tell you from personal experience, everything changed for me when I took responsibility for my own philosophy. When I realized I was the architect, not just the tenant of my mind. Everything else started to fall into place. The better my thinking got, the better my results became. Better ideas led to better decisions. Better decisions led to better actions. And better actions led to a richer life. That's the real purpose of this workshop. Not just to make you feel inspired for an hour or two, but to give you the tools and the challenge to design your own philosophy, to make you aware of the power you hold to shape your future, starting with your next thought, your next belief, your next action. So as you leave here today, remember this: you are the author of your story. If you don't like the last chapter, start writing a new one. No one else is in charge of what you think, what you believe, or what you do. Every day, you can add a page, revise a paragraph, or flip to a brand new chapter. That's the promise of personal philosophy. Don't leave your thinking up to chance. Don't let old programming run your future. Be the designer, the builder, the craftsman of your own mind. Because when your philosophy improves, everything else follows. Your income, your relationships, your health, your happiness. It's all downstream of your thinking. And if you ever feel stuck, just remember, the first step to changing your life is changing your mind. The journey might take time, but it always starts with a single decision to think differently. From there, the possibilities are endless.